I can do this in 3 minutes. Hey, what's up everybody? Thanks for stopping back this week for this week's 3 Minutes on Thursday. After a little prodding and not wanting to change the name to 6 Minutes on Sunday, I decided I can get this done in 3 minutes. I've had a lot of people since last fall ask me about taking pictures of stars, astrophotography, things at night, capturing the Milky Way. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how you can set up your camera to capture some of the awesomeness that we see in the stars at night. So let's put 3 minutes on the clock and see if I can get this done. It might be obvious, the first really important thing that you need to have is a dark sky. Meaning if you live in a bigger city or there are a lot of street lights or what we call light pollution, you're gonna have a really hard time seeing the stars, let alone photographing them. Number two, you're gonna need to have some sort of camera that has manual exposure so that you can set your camera to capture the correct exposure length. Cameras that have a bulb setting on them, which as long as you've got the shutter button pressed down, the shutter is going to stay open. You're going to need to have a lens that is a fast lens, 2.8 aperture, maybe 3.5. I shoot a lot of mine with this Rokinon 12mm 2.8 lens. I'm going to set that focus almost to infinity and leave it alone, but you need something that can open up with a real wide aperture to pull all of that light in. Third thing, you have to have a good solid tripod. It's just super important that your camera is able to sit still. It can't have even the slightest camera shake or you're going to end up with a blurry exposure. Lastly, you're going to need some sort of mechanism to trigger your camera without having to push the button. You can set it as a timer. Like I said, if you've got bulb mode, you're going to want to be able to press that shutter button and leave it open, but you're also not going to want to have your finger on the camera, which is going to lead to camera shake. I use an intervalometer, which is really awesome for setting something up like that combine shot that you saw where the night sky is captured throughout the night. I wasn't literally sitting there all night long taking picture after picture. A lot of today's newer cameras have intervalometers built into them so you can set up and shoot your own time lapses. How long do you set these exposures for? You can shoot with what's called the rule of 600, and the rule of 600 says this: you take the number 600 and you divide that by the focal length of the lens that you're using. The Earth is going to rotate at about 1/2 degree per minute. So what you want to avoid at all costs is what's called star trails, where you leave the shutter open long enough where you are going to see the actual stars moving if you zoom in real close. I shoot most of mine at an ISO setting of 1600 or 3200. I shoot them wide open at 2.8. A lot of them I'll shoot 20 to 25 second exposures. If you've got a 50mm lens, one, it's not very wide, you're not going to see much of the sky, but you're only going to be able to leave your shutter open for about 12 seconds, which even on the brightest of nights, you're only going to expose and receive light from the brightest stars. Like I gave you with some of those tips earlier, I think it's really nice to be able to include something in the foreground instead of just a bunch of random stars. So a cabin, in this case you've seen a few of my barn outside, a pine tree, a lake, something that gives a little bit of depth to things other than just a wide open sky. A couple of these you've seen have shown the star trails, they've been time lapses, but obviously you can't really get those without capturing first just the night sky with just stars without moving. So I appreciate you stopping by. If you like this, hit the like button. Definitely subscribe to the channel if you would, and we'll see you again here next week.